dive straight back into it and go straight to our watch list and see everything that we're going to be looking for coming up this week. Potential moneymakers. We'll start from the top down with GBP Aussie, and we will work our way down to the very bottom. I think we've got between like 10 to 12 pairs that we're going to be looking at. So hopefully you'll be able to see straight away. I try and make this as easy as possible for you to see before we start this, but hopefully you'll be able to try and see that we are in some sort of descending channel. It's getting narrower ever so slightly as we are coming into this yellow zone that's matched up with a trend line. So I am looking to be taking buy positions um, all the way up to about the 1.85000 handle, providing that we do get a reversal signal in this zone, maybe a nice push to the downside and then close back up maybe on the hourly or the 4 hour. And then I will be looking to take price action all the way up and take a long position. So definitely had a very, very, very interesting pair, and it's really, really high on the watch list. So we're going to be monitoring that as soon as the market opens. Of course, it's got a little bit of development to go, but nonetheless, I want to see how much it gaps up, gaps down, and how much the market recovers from that move. So moving on to USD CAD. I'll try and keep these very, very nice and simple for you. Of course, you can see this is a weekly trend line that we have been respecting over time, but this is a very, very big support level, huge support level, and we are creating and now a double bottom. As you can see, this line marks the huge weekly support level, and then this yellow box is the hourly support level that we've drawn in because it is price action that has reacted very nicely recently to a level that happened a while ago. So, I mean, typically you do get sometimes you do get reversals from areas like this, especially huge, massive, significant ones. If we just go up to the weekly and you see the sort of where we're at and where we've drew this level from, you see here the last time in 2016, the 18th of April, we had a massive push off. Um, let's just see how much that actually was. I mean, of course, that did take from April to around May, so a full month's worth of price action, and that was 1,322 pips. So potentially, right? I mean, when you know, I mean, this is what we teach when we break some sort of trend line like this. We typically want to be aiming somewhere around the top of where the price action actually started. So this is because this is such a big level that's been respected over time. Hopefully, you'll be able to see. Um, this is what we are looking at. We are looking for a reversal from this. Now, that's not to say that this is going to happen because, of course, you'll do very well to be able to anticipate big reversals like this. Sometimes, they'll play around with you and they'll fake a breakout because this is what people are anticipating, and they'll push down lower, we'll come back up to retest, and maybe even push down to, say, these lows here. So I would mark these lows out just as a, what if scenario. Like, if this happens and we know that this is the next potential area, we could also go down to here, but I would imagine that we would go down to roughly about the 1.20713 handle, and then see what happens there. But I am anticipating that we are going to get some form of, maybe consolidation until we sort of hit this breaking point here, and then once we do get a close outside this, we are going to be looking to take a buy position, but we might even anticipate a break somewhere soon. So then, when we do get in a long position, we have got in extremely early and we could have an incredible risk to reward. Might just risk 1% on this one because obviously we're anticipating a break that potentially might not actually happen, and it is a bit more aggressive and a bit more risky. So, with that being said, we might even just enter a 1%, um, a 1% risk on this trade. But again, we're just going to monitor it, see what happens, and what the market gives us is what we'll take. So GBP USD, if we just sort of scope out here and we'll see what's actually happening, you'll be able to see like the thought process going into this. So I am anticipating, because we've had a nice rejection off of this small trend line, back down into this more relevant trend line that's been respected way more over time. matching it nicely with a support zone. So this is typically the area I'm looking at for the price action to get into before I would then take a long position back up to roughly so price action roughly back up to 1.41773. So as you can see here, this is part of a much larger uptrend, and we are sort of just moving ever so nicely into this region here, where I do think we are going to find some more buyers and push back up. So that's typically what I'm looking at for GBP USD, Euro GBP. Again, it's a little bit of a tricky one, but this level here is an extremely interesting level. It's a really nice area of support. And then what happens is, if we go down to the weekly, we'll see that this trend line here, although it looks like it has been broken, we've actually closed just back around this area, which could signal that the buyers have rejected the sellers on the weekly. Let's just go out to the weekly candles, and you'll be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. That the buyers have actually won this battle and managed to keep the respect of this trend line, and then we could see price action go all the way back up to round about this region here. Round about this region here. So that's roughly about 0.92125. I think, sorry, 2 seconds. Yeah, so 0.92125 is roughly where we could be taking this back in. But see if we zoom in just a little bit more, you'll be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. You can see this candle here is just closed on the line. So really what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be monitoring price action to see, okay, are we able to push back up into these highs again at 0.92125? We need a break of this trend line and a good reversal signal, maybe in the form of a double bottom, and then on the second bottom we get like an inside bar or an engulfing candle, and then get our stop loss nicely behind these lows to then take it all the way back up. So that's typically what we're going to be looking for on Euro GBP. NZD, USD, let's have a look and see what we're looking at on the, let's go down to the 4 hour. So again, that was just sort of like a little quick trade that we were looking at, maybe potentially taking next week. Let's just move that, neaten things up a little bit. So you can see this yellow zone here was like an area of resistance that we're maybe going to be looking at. It's bounced off the outside of the trend line. So if we were neaten this up, you can see that this actually looks a lot neater if it was to be tight against these candles here, tight against this candle here. Sorry, the computer's going a little bit slow just now, and it's not. There we go. So typically, as you can see here, maybe just we have a nice rejection from this area here, but price action also is having a nice rejection from here. So I would typically look to take this back down once it's had a rejection of this area. As you can see here, this would be our entry point, and then this would be our stop loss nicely behind these highs here, and then we would take our take profit back down to the start of this mini trend line, which is roughly around 0.71050. And of course, remember, when we're looking for risk to reward, we're looking for a minimum of 3 risk to reward. If there's not a minimum of 3 risk to reward, then we're not taking the trade, and we will just move on. So moving on to GBP GBY. Again, hopefully this is pretty obvious what we're looking for here. We're looking for buyers back down around this region here, but for the sake of accuracy, I think we could probably even push that up a little bit here and have price action just a little bit tighter. So roughly around this zone here. So if we get in this zone and we respect this trend line, we will be looking to take price action back up into buy position again. But again, this could break. This could break, and then it could be start of another a reversal. So we're just going to really wait and see what price action is going to offer us on the market open and how it's going to react at the start of the market, the start of the market week. And then we will look to take positions either way, to be honest. But potential target for taking this up, I mean, rule is always look to the left, go to the higher time frames if you really need to. Looks like we are going to need to go to the higher time frames because we can't see anything above us or anything to the left. So if we go out to the daily, let's see if we can see anything on the daily. So again, we are very, 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 very overextended. So, I mean, I am going to be watching this area that you see here for some form of buying momentum. But, I mean, just looking at this just now, it's not looking very good in terms of maintaining buying momentum. One could probably argue that we are getting some sort of an ascending pennant, which of course, as you know, is a reversal. So let me just have a quick look and see what that looks like. So maybe we do see a reversal back down into a zone. Let's have a look and see what the Fibonacci would. See if we could get anything from that. So let's just take, for example, so sorry, 2 seconds. So what we'll be looking for is maybe even pull back in any one of these two regions. I'm thinking round about this region here because that matches up really nicely with this trend line. Let's just change that. Change that to white so it's a little bit easier to see. Right, let's change this to white. And there we go. So let's change this also to white. Apologies for the internet. It seems to be really, really slow today, so I don't know what's actually going on. It's never normally this bad. Let's see. Right, so yep, so I mean we might even have a pullback and this matches up really nicely with this long-term trend line, so we might even pull back to the 0.382 fib. Matches up almost perfectly, so I mean we might actually see price action come back down here. So if we do break this bottom trend line of the ascending wedge, I would be happy to take price action all the way back down to here at some point, or maybe initial targets, we take it back down to the 0.236, which would still give us a really nice target nonetheless. So I mean, just by looking at this right now, we know fine well that we're going to be able to get at least a 3 to 1 from this. So if we take these original swing points, I mean, we could have this level in here. It'd be a nice level. So typically what we would be looking for is maybe even the first target to be the 0.236 region, and then down further to 0.382. If we do manage to break that, we can maybe get a break and retest on another trade before we start finding some buyers again, and we'll probably take it back up to the top of where we broke out of this region. So it would look something like this. So I'm going to map out these two zones, and we're going to monitor price action. Just after reanalyzing this, I'm thinking that we might actually, especially if we go down to the early, we might actually just get a breakout to the downside, so we could actually get a really nice counter trend. First target would be roughly around the 0.236 Fibonacci, and then the second one's roughly around 1.41528. So now moving on to Euro JPY, of course we've quite a steep trend line, so I'm not looking to get in anything too drastic, but we have broken a major downtrend. So where do we go from here? We could actually continue the steep uptrend. There's no reason why that doesn't need to continue, but typically when you get trends as steep as this, it's only a matter of time before they break, because obviously the price is climbing up higher and higher and higher at a very, very quick rate, so it's not really sustainable. Let's just see if we can speed things up a little bit. Right, okay, so again, apologies. Don't know what's going on today. I just really need to wait on this loading. So again, we are looking to take price action back up, but where we're looking to take price action back up to, as you can see, we have had a nice close outside of this. Okay, so let's try that again. So now that we've had a nice close outside of this, we are expecting to continue this uptrend. As you can see here, we can see very clearly that we have this uptrend here. So what I would typically be looking for is I'd be looking for it to come back closer into this trend line, roughly around this area where it meets the outside of the broken trend line, around about this zone here, where it matches with these highs and the bottom of this candle. So that's typically the zone I'm looking for. And then once we do start to get round about this zone, we'll look to take price action targets by looking left to the bigger time frames. So Euro NZD. Again, another really interesting trade that we could potentially be taking short, but not ruling out the reversal that could potentially happen because, of course, we are anticipating a break of this trend line. As you can see here, these are our two swing points, so we keep these the same. This has tried to break through, been rejected, respected well, respected well, respected well, and we've had a nice bullish daily candle on Friday there to try and approach and break through this trend line. So if we go down to the hourly, it seems to be taking 5 minutes just to switch time frames. I mean, I try my best to keep this going, but it's an absolute nightmare right now. So I appreciate the patience. It's very hard on my end to be this patient as well, believe me. It's very, very frustrating. It's making life almost impossible. I mean, I can't even move the charts right now. I don't actually know what's going on. Seems to be this new streaming software that we're using because it's never ever been like this before. This is the first time that we've actually used it on a live, and it seems to be just draining every bit of fluidity. Okay, so we're actually just going to leave that. We're just gonna cut this down, and then we'll just post this on YouTube because we can't keep going on like this. Okay, so right now, yep, see there we go. We're back. Sorry about that. Right, no more messing about. So this, I mean, potentially we could be taking a short position for this area here. I don't know if we will or not. I mean, I am keeping an eye on this zone here at roughly 1.66651 for maybe a break and retest, but as you can see here, we are respecting it as right in line with this trend line. So if we do get a reversal signal, we will be entering a sell, maybe even just back down to the base here. So you can see the potential be getting a nice 4 to 1. So that is definitely high on our watch list, especially quick trades. As you can see, prices sort of just moved up, and this little run here over the past, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours has really just been quite a dominant one. So the fact that it's been quite a dominant one into an already bearish trend line and a nice resistance zone would tell us that we could be on a reversal back down to at least here, or we do break this. We use this as support once we've broken, maybe something like this: break, break, and then continuation up higher to well, once obviously this is broken, the sky's the limit. We could take this up to right back to where this started. But somewhere around in this purple region, just under the 1.73000 handle would be ideal. But typically that's what we're looking for. We'll just be monitoring price action to see whatever the market gives us. So Euro CHF, again, a nice ascending channel and a nice resistance. Really high probability setup that this will come back down and touch the base of where it started. So again, watch out for that one. It's extremely nice, clean setup. Aussie JPY. Again, sort of similar. I mean, we've got a really nice, sharp trend line, but we're coming into a nice big resistance zone. We are seeing a pattern that's known as three drives to a high. We're pushing. We got up higher, and then now this third drive sort of it's lagging a little bit. And now, I mean, one could argue that this is a head and shoulders. So obviously, you should be able to see, this would be a shoulder. Let's just change that because that's not a good call. Change that. This would be obviously the head. This would be the shoulder, and then we would maybe even wait for the break, the retest, and then we would take this all the way back down. I would definitely look to be taking this. So this is again another extremely high probability trade that we'd be looking to see. It's got a nice area of sensitivity here, sensitivity here, sensitivity here, and it's the start of this bullish trend. So very, 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 very high probability step. So be looking out for that. CAD JPY. Again, hopefully you'll be able to see we're looking for price action to come back down into this area here. If we do put a Fibonacci on just this here, just this move, you should be able to see some nice levels. Yep, you can see 0.618 fib, which is the golden ratio fib. Typically the most retraced area, typically speaking, not always, but the most retraced area for a desired move to come back down and touch before then going in the original direction. So again, this is obviously a much steeper trend line in comparison to the one that we do have below. So what we are going to do is we're going to monitor how it reacts to this level here in this trend line, and then of course if it doesn't react very well and we do get a break, we have the opportunity to go long back down to probably this region here. I would say is a very good region that we would be looking to take targets, maybe a break and retest, and then you could get a nice 4-to-1, nice 5-to-1, depending on where you get in, where you get out. So ideally what you want to be looking at is you want to be looking at making money both ways. If you can look at making money both ways, then you're never really going to be short for options. So look to make money both ways, understand the ifs of all the scenarios that could potentially play out, the ones that could go for you, the ones that could go against you, and then it puts you in a much better standing to be able to make the right decisions and profit. Because if you could do that and profit, then you're already in a good standing in the market, and you're going to be able to really capitalize and make some good money. So moving on to EuroCAD, again, we're hitting this really big weekly support zone. We do think we will get a retracement back into these lows here that have now been respected as resistance. So come back up, push in to this resistance in line with this trend line here, as you can see. But we do think that it's going to come down to the C wave here, roughly at 1.47964, and then I think we will push back up from here because this is a really big weekly level. Break this trend line, and then we will start to look to come back to the overall bearish trend line that we are seeing here on the weekly. It's quite a big one, so even if we go down to the daily just to get a bit more of a better gauge, you can see here we've been respected very many times, and then of course if we did break that, which would take a long time, again just like normal, target is back up to the top here, and that's what we would be looking for. But again, these are just these two lines here. It's not actually a box at the bottom here. This is just two lines, two different weekly levels, as you'll be able to see here. This has been a big weekly level, and this has been a big weekly level. So this is typically what we'd be looking for. As you can see here, it matches up nicely with all these lows, and this is matching up nicely with these lows. So two areas to watch out from. It's a nice ABC wave that could potentially bank us a little nice bit of profit. But again, only if it meets the rules and if it gives us a good entry signal. And last but not least, NZD CAD. Simple break and retest. As you can see here, this is the A, the B, and then the C would be potentially always look left. So the C, I mean, the C looks like it's got a lot of potential here. So because we've broken this, the C could be all the way down here, right at the very start, or maybe even just, I'd probably take it because this has got a bigger area of sensitivity instead of this. This looks like an erratic move. I'd probably take it to around these lows here. So the C wave would probably end up somewhere like that for me. But the amount of risk to reward that you could potentially be getting off of this is crazy. So let me just tidy that up a little bit. So really I'm just looking for something like this all the way back down. So I mean, just looking at the risk to reward quickly, let's just see. So say we put it back behind this low here and we took this all the way down to the outside. I mean, there's a lot of potential, but again, you need to really understand the right reversal signals and safe areas, because this to me would be typically a safe area to put my stop loss behind. I'd probably put it up just a little bit higher. You could be extra safe and put it back inside the pattern, but then you're up at like an 888 stop loss, so I'd probably trim that down just nicely above these highs here, not too tight close to them in case there's any like extra spikes or extra liquidity probes. As you can see here, you're nicely above it. Should keep you out of harm's way. 36 pip stop loss, and you're potentially banking, potentially, if you're just risking 1%, 17.46%. But if you are risking 2%, you could potentially be banking like 35%, just above 35%. So again, a lot of potential. So that's the pairs that we're going to be looking for this week. There's about roughly like between 10 and 12 pairs, and we do have a future watch list: USD JPY, CAD CHF, Aussie New Zealand dollar, Aussie CHF, Aussie CAD, and gold. But again, those ones are needing quite a bit of development. But if they do start to develop really quickly at the start of the market, opening at the beginning of the week for potential entries before the end of this week, then we will update you. We'll post them in the groups, and we will give you maybe even some live analysis videos on the breakdowns of what we're going to be looking at in terms of executing them. So hopefully it's going to be a good trading week for you and everybody else is watching this. And I hope that you manage to get some good value out of these pairs, some of the ideas that we're looking to trade, and hopefully you'll be able to execute them and make some money. And until the next time, we will see you in the next one.